In this video, I'm going to take you through my 4 exam day predictions for the ACCA SBL examination for the March 2026 sitting. That is for the company Merceh. My name is James, I'm an ACCA tutor, and if you'd like access to my exclusive pre-seen information notes you can see above me that have helped students around the world to pass their examination, click the link in the description of this video or in my bio and you can download a copy yourself. I'm also delighted to say I'm associated and affiliated with Astranti. They offer mock examinations actually based on Merceh, along with pre-seen analysis packs I'd highly recommend to help you to get 50 plus to pass your exam. And if you'd like to check those out, click the link in the description of this video. And for pure transparency, as always, if you were to purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the channel. And as always, a massive thank you. Leave me any comments if you have any questions on the SBL pre-seen information. I will get back to you. And a caveat before we get into this, I've not spoken to the SBL markers or the examiner. I don't have a crystal ball that tells me what's going to be on there. This is what I'd be thinking if I was in your position. So get your pen and paper at the ready, because our first area and exam day prediction that I think that could come up is something involving a digital transformation for the business. So where are we starting in terms of why do I think this could come up? Well, if you go down to page 2 on here, this is where we're given straight away in the actual pre-seen information on there that in the paragraph, I can even put my mouse on it for you on there, that we have digital content and we have actual physical magazines. And what we're looking at there is, well, we're saying in the pre-seen materials, the actual hard copy magazines are going down in popularity. The digital magazines is where it's at. And this is where print-based magazines are actually diminishing on there. So we need to actually think to ourselves, well, if that's not going to bring in some revenue moving forward, then we've got to say to ourselves, well, what could that be changing in the future? If you go up to, and again, I'll put my mouse on it, this is where the key line where you may actually want to quote it in your actual exam and actually in your answer. So the market for print-based magazines is diminishing, but the key thing for you to note down, although it is likely to remain significant for some time to come. So there is still going to be some demand for those printed magazines, and that is where, again, just so you've got some context as to why this is the case for a digital transformation, you can see at the bottom on page 10, print-based edition sales in volume have been decreasing year on year from 2001 to 2005. So why is a digital transformation on my list? If you then head back up to page number 2, we're actually given a breakdown of other areas that publishers are now offering through extra content and a number of online channels. And this is where we have additional website materials, again, digital transformation, all online, email newsletters, podcasts, and social media. So plenty of opportunities there. And the key thing that we need to get down, especially when you're using the terms from the pre-seed notes that the examiner is going to want you to talk about, is a subscriber model. I put my mouse on it, it's at the top of the page on number 2. This is where you pay for a subscription on a monthly basis, and therefore it's a recurring income business model. So really good for them to actually tap into. With this digital transformation though, and this is why I think it's got a lot of legs that it could be tested, if you have a look on the risk section, whenever we think of anything digital, you've then got to say to yourself, well, what about cybersecurity, the actual type of content, or in other words, the production of poor content? These are key things on here, along with social media that we've been given points and touched on in terms of search engines on there. Plenty of things in terms of the platform, the actual suppliers, how this digital transformation could come about from a strategic point of view. You've got lots of things to refer to on the risk register. Then, when we think of the actual digital transformation, what have we been told in the pre-seen materials that you kind of go, well, hang on a second now. We've got lots of different things on here where we go, well, got to talk about it and give it some context. So if you look at the top on page 9 now on the left-hand side, we're told they've actually used the same digital publishing platform, for a number of years. And again, you've got one side of the argument, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. But then you've got other competitors that will be developing their digital actual platforms themselves, giving the users a better experience and therefore retaining them better. So again, mention that in terms of the platform if this style of question was to come up. And last but by no means least, we're actually given on page 5 for you to refer to in a variety of different areas. We've got the industry challenges on here, whereas you can see from my notes, key bits for you to get down are that we're told that competitors in the actual market itself for magazines in the country on here of Darland, it's an acquisition model. So we've got to consider if Merceh might actually acquire another company. You could put it down as a recommendation who's more digitally transformed already, or maybe the other way, Merceh may actually be acquired themselves. The other key thing on here is the advertising income and a potential link to maybe referring to market segmentation. In other words, breaking up the market that they actually sell to into different sections and looking how we could get better in each individual way through a digital transformation on there. So that is my exam day prediction number 1. Now, exam day prediction number 2 is all about cost control now. So first of all, when we talk about costs, you've got to familiarise yourself with what we've been told in the pre-seen materials. That's where head over to page 4, you get a breakdown of all the different expenses areas just to familiarise yourself with the industry. And then we go into more detail in terms of, well, how is that applied in terms of Merceh and what sort of nuggets of information are we given that links into costing and how they could get a little bit better. Well, the first one is on page 8. You can see where my mouse is on the right hand side, all about the printing and distribution. This is all done in-house, whereas as we can see there, other publishers or most of the publishers in Ireland actually outsource their printing. So you kind of say to yourself, that's extra cost, more hassle for Merceh to actually do it themselves. There may not be specialists in there. The costing behind printing per unit, all these different things you could talk about as to why they're printing and getting their paper done internally, and also with their distribution as well, linking that to maybe they could also outsource that area. Now, if we also look at the organization part on page 8, so if we just scroll up to this part here, we're also told that Merceh is organized into 8 divisions now. So just close your eyes and picture that. 8 divisions where each division has one main office and some have a few smaller offices as well. So you've got plenty of costs there. And these really link into what are called legacy costs, but because we've been told that Merceh has been established over 60 years ago, you could quite easily argue that over the years they've acquired different offices and everyone's got a bit sort of comfortable with how it's all set up. Whereas actually they need to get a bit leaner, maybe cut down on those costs. And they've also, remember, got a distribution center and a head office. So this is where they've got mounting fixed costs that they need to be aware of. Other areas that this could link into in terms of cost control, down on page 10, depends how you want to word your argument, but you could see on the right hand side, the operating profit of the last 2 years has been dropping year on year. However, the other side of the coin is it's still at 27%, so still looking pretty good, but it could be improved on there. So make a reference to the operating profit margin actually decreasing, and there also may be a bit of pressure because the revenue in the last year has slightly flatlined. So feel free to mention it as well, why the cost control may need to be a priority, and you could also be talking about it on there. But the last thing, we've also got to think of worst case scenarios back up to that risk register. And now we're looking at the legal side of things. We've got legal fees, potential damages on there, fines. What could possibly go wrong if some of our content was maybe not correct? And we could maybe have a lawsuit on there, again, would impact on the cash flow of the organization. Where if you go up to the actual KPIs as well, whilst I'm just sort of thinking about this, I just went, I'm pretty sure I saw in the KPIs that cash flow was mentioned in there. So again, if you've got lots of costs that are impacting on cash flow going out of the business, you can see on here, free cash flows is one of the KPIs. We're not given much information, but you could definitely link it back to that KPI on there as well. So that is exam day prediction number 2, cost control. Now, exam day prediction number 3 involves the workforce, the directors, and linking it into the 2 parts of ESG, the social and the governance aspects. First of all, we've got to get started on page 7, the ownership breakdown of Merceh. Now you look at that and you go, we've got some institutional shareholders, the directors are involved. Fantastic. They're going to be involved in the business. They're going to want to stay longer. They've got some shareholding in there. But with having a 30% shareholding, that is where they actually have some significant influence on there, and it could link into you discussing agency theory. That's where on one side of the coin we've got the directors, they want their bonuses and they want to hit their targets, but they might not be aligned to actually the institutional shareholders who want the actual business to continue long-term generating shareholder wealth maximization. So they have two different sets of priorities, and agency theory could come up with the other key thing to mention with the actual directors on here, which is mentioned in the board structure on page 8, is we're not given a single name, not just of the board structure or the executive directors or the non-executive directors. We're not given a single name in the whole of the pre-C materials. So that's where I think one could come up in the requirement or in an exhibit for you to apply on the exam day and to work out what role they're in. Now, from that, we're given mission and values on here. So really, absolutely imperative. I mean, they've talked on here that Mercer's authors and readers are part of one large community. So anything that goes against the mission and the values that we're talking about here, about the expert engagement with the readers, the values of sustainability will come onto, and the ethical code. Just noting down, they've talked about integrity, which is one of ACCA's ethical codes. So again, link those actual areas of the values of the mission, the community, and also linking back to those KPIs we just touched on there. We're not given much information on it, and that's always a sort of red flag as to one of the KPIs is staff turnover. So this obviously are really worried about it, but we're not given any information to back it up. So again, it's got to be something that if it involves people, the social factors, maybe even including it in a pestle analysis, you should be definitely getting it down on there. Now we come on to page 8 now in the organisation sector, and this is where, again, I'm just thinking about practically now that most of the authors actually are only in the office 2 days a week, and they have different requirements for different staff to how they engage in the business, how they engage with one another, working from home. Some staff are actually out in the field, they might have to go to a sports match, to a film. So all these sort of things you go, does that really align with their mission statement? Where are they all in it together? Are they really part of that one large community on there? And when we go on to page 6 as well, and we look at one of the risks associated with it, one of the key areas, number 8, is a loss of key persons on there. So that's linking into the strategy, the risk register, potential legal issue on there I've got down in my notes if we don't operate correctly, and absolutely imperative that you understand the different people in the organization. I think that's where some students are going to trip up, where the final person to note down in your notes is the magazine's editor-in-chief. They have the overall charge. They are responsible and accountable, the top dog on there. So don't make the mistake of getting mixed up between the editor-in-chief and the overall editors on there. The editor-in-chief is the person overall who signs off the magazines for each month, for each quarter as a result. And last but by no means least, again, this is why I think it's just got so much to talk about. If you head down to page 9 to the CSR statement, you can also see in there the working environment, stakeholder engagement. We strive for a supportive environment, employees, opportunities, community culture, and you've just got to be saying to yourself, something is going to go wrong on the SBL exam day involving something from these pre-C materials, and if it's anything relating to people or the directors on there, it should be definitely something you should be referring to that goes against the CSR statement on their website and would go against their actual values and their mission. So that's why the workforce, the directors on there is definitely an area that I would be thinking could come up as a prediction for the SBL 2026 exam. Now, my exam day prediction number 4 is all about the environment, sustainability, and lo and behold, CSR on there. So, sticking with that statement, again, CSR statement on there for us. And the key bit on here is where we're talking about encouraging in terms of what we're talking about for sustainability on there, but is it actually what is happening in the business? So this is where you can come down, I'll put my mouse on it on page 9. You can see here we regularly encourage our suppliers to follow our objectives on there, socially and environmentally. Encouraging is not the same as making it compulsory on there. So saying what is going on versus what is actually going on could lead to potential risks on there of non-compliance. We also have the industry regulator we need to refer to, and that is where, if you come back up to the industry regulator on page 5 now, up at the top on here, so we've got the Newspaper and Magazine Standards Authority. The regulator could step in, especially from a sort of fine or law perspective, if they are not adhering to sustainability standards. And also linking back to the first step of digital transformation, the likes of AI on there or regulation could be thrown in as to they've written technical articles on these different areas, and if they're utilizing AI or having sustainability practices that aren't fit for purpose, could get in trouble with the regulators, and therefore you have those risks on the risk register on the right hand side. And especially we also are given some climate change risks on the side. We're not told about sort of what the climate's like actually in Darland, but again, it's something about loss of reputation, adverse impacts you could definitely refer to. Of course, don't overlook it. Page 7, again, for those KPIs, we're given environmental impacts, energy consumption, amount of waste on there. Key things in the KPIs to refer to. If they're not hitting it, refer back to it. And you can see on page 10, energy consumed has been going down. This is very good from a sustainability point of view. Also, where we're told about sustainability for your notes, look on here for the paper and printing. So you can see on here, Merceh sources paper from several paper supplies and states publicly that its paper supplies obtain their raw material supplies from sustainable sources. Merceh does its own publishing in-house on there without actually outsourcing it. I'll say so in Darwin, which it outsources their printing. But again, it's actually getting their suppliers to actually have it from sustainable sources. How much of that can Mercer Co actually control? And that's where they are getting better at it by the sounds of it, especially with the energy kilowatts dropping down. But have a look at the ACCA technical articles on their website. They love to throw in things, especially about the environment, sustainability on there, and CSR in this point. And if you head up to, if you've downloaded my notes, I put a little breakdown of all the different ones on the first page that you need to be aware of on there. You can see there, page 1 on the left-hand side. Stakeholder theory could link into it, considering the internal and external stakeholders, along with CSR and agency theory we touched on before. So that is my actual prediction number 4, environmental, sustainability, or something CSR related for the business. And that takes you through my 4 exam day predictions. If you found that helpful going through and you'd like access to my exclusive SBL notes, click the link in the description or in my bio. You can get a copy yourself and check out those Astranti mock papers and analysis packs. They are definitely going to help you to pass your examination. So if you have enjoyed today's video and found value in it, please be sure to subscribe and like the video, sharing it with any other students who have got their SBL exam. And I'll see you on the other side now for another SBL video to help you to pass. So thank you very much.